Hey class, this is Mr. Lee. It's Wednesday, November 12th. This is the homework video. It's subtracting integers. Today we went over adding integers. So your homework, I'm going to teach you guys how to subtract. To touch base though, we have to make sure you understand the three words that we went over today. The first word was integer. What is an integer? Well, an integer is any whole number that's positive, negative, or zero. So, any whole number positive, negative, and zero. So that means you can have the number 5, the number negative 50, and the number 0. All of these guys are integers. Another thing, if you don't have your packet or paper because you lost it, get a blank piece of paper, draw a line right down the middle, another line up here, here's your vocab, here's the work. So if you don't have this paper, you have no excuse, just get a blank piece of paper. Alright, the second word that we went over today for class was zero pair. So zero pair means when you have a positive and a negative and they cancel out to equal 0. So zero pair is a positive and a negative making 0. The last word is neutral field. And this is really important today for subtracting. A neutral field means if you have more than one zero pair. So this means more than one zero pair. So I could have 3 positives and 3 negatives. When they pair up, it's going to get me 0 plus 0 plus 0. It's always going to get me 0. No matter how many pairs I have, it will always be 0. I can have 100 of these guys, 6 of these guys. It will always be 0. I could have 9 of these guys, a bunch, and it will always add up to 0. Alright, so let's go over our first example right here. Example 1. If you guys remember in class today, I had you guys use beans and draw them. So right now we're going to do an easy one. We're going to do 5 minus 2. I could do this with my beans. So I have positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you guys don't have beans to play with, to help you see, I could draw them out. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right? 5 positive, 5 positive. Anytime I do a problem, this is called an expression. It's a math sentence. All these numbers and symbols are words. I just read out the first word and drew them. So I have 5 positive. The next thing I want to do is subtract 2. So all I have to do, circle these 2, and draw an arrow to show that I'm subtracting them. In real life, I get 2 beans, and I remove them. Simple as that. So we know 5 minus 2, it's going to get us 3. Makes sense. It checks out. I have 1, 2, 3 positives. I also have 3 beans. First example is super easy. Next, we have example 2. Example 2 is where things get kind of weird for people. It shouldn't. We're going to do the same technique with negative numbers. So negative 4 minus a negative 2. This means I'm going to have 4 negative symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can draw it out. I can also show it in my beans. So look at this. 4 beans. And these are all my negatives. Now I read out the next part. I have to remove 2 of them. So let's subtract 2. Negative 4 minus 2, I get negative 2. So the answer is negative 2. So far, so good, right? Now, let's go to the tricky ones. So, this is our tricky one. And I want you guys to underline trick, because I'm hoping that you guys can see a pattern using this to help us with the tricky ones. Before I do the tricky ones, I want you guys to tell me what number is this right here. Well, if you got number 2, you got that right. So right here, I have 2. So I can draw that down as plus and plus. Now remember what I said about a neutral field, okay? It means whatever I add, it always adds to 0. So let's look at this. If I have, say, this and this right here, I have 2 0 pairs. I have 2 0 pairs right here. Even though I have 2 0 pairs, a plus and a minus and a plus and a minus, I'm subtracting what? What does this plus and minus mean? I'm actually subtracting 0. So 2 minus 0, I still wind up 2. Even though I added a bunch of beans and I made a really big drawing right here, I still have technically 2 beans right here. Now let's go on with the next example. Example 3. Example 3, we're going to try to use our trick. We have negative 3 minus 2. Negative 3 minus 2. So I could draw that easily. I can have 3 negatives right here. 1, 2, and 3. So what that means in real life, I've got 3 black beans right here. Now, here's the part where it gets weird. I have to remove 2 positives. I don't see 2 positives that I can remove right here. Alright, so whenever I add my second number, here's my positives. But now this messes up everything. I've got 5 beans. So for me to balance this out, every time that I add my second number, I make sure I put them in a pair. Right now, I've got 3 minus 2 positives. And I had to balance it out by pairing them up. Because technically, these 2 pairs are what? Well, they're 0. So now I can draw out another negative, and a positive. So now I can do the problem. I can do negative 3 minus 2 positive. So let's remove the 2 positive. If I remove the 2 positive, they go away. How many beans do I have left? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got negative 5. So using the magic of neutral fields to balance things out, I can subtract stuff and I'm actually making more things show up because the pairs are being broken up. Let's look at example 4. Example 4. Example 4, I've got 5 minus a negative 2. 5 minus a negative 2. How can I draw that? Well, first, I'm going to draw my first word, which is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so that's the first one. Now, we want to subtract a negative 2. So I can add on these negative 2 right here. But every time I do it, they have to be paired up. So these negative 2, they have their partners from their 0 pair. Now, let me draw this out then. I have plus and the minus and the minus. So now let's do the problem. 5 minus the negative 2. I'll circle the negatives and draw out my arrow. And in real life, that means I take these 2 away. So they'll go away. Now let's count what I have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the answer is a positive 7. Alright, so that's the end of the explanation. Let's actually do some of the problems. So, we have this worksheet. I told you guys to do it. So this worksheet right here is off of our packet, okay? The packet that I gave you today, it has this worksheet. If you're like some people that I know who try to do the homework ahead, even if you have the answers, I want you to check your answers. So here we go. Let's do number 1. I have 5 positive minus a negative 9. Or 5 positive minus 9. So what I'm going to get is this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want to add on this part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But remember, because I have these 9 right here, they have to have their 0 pairs. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pair them up. So this goes away. This goes away. This goes away. This goes away. And this goes away. What's my answer? I've got negative 4. So you saw that in the model. Let's draw this out. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to write down 9. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And these guys get paired up. Now some people will say, Mister, how come you use the black ones right here? Now the reason I use the black ones is this. If you see 5 minus 9, if I have $5 and I lose 9 of them, I'm going to owe you 4. So the answer is negative 4. Let's go on to, well, number 3 is a freebie. I know negative 7 minus 0. That's going to get me negative 7. And all I have to do to show my work is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we're not removing anything, so we know it's negative 7. Alright, let's go on to number 2. I've got negative 3, so it's 1, 2, and 3. And I'll show it by having my beans right here. And I'm subtracting 8. So let me get 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to make our 0 pairs. So these 3 team up with these 3. And I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my answer is 5. Let's draw it out to show our work. This is our computation right here. Anytime that we draw, we can count this as computation. So I'm showing my work, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And these guys are in my neutral field. And that means I have 5. Let's explain this and have some common sense. So when I explain this, our explanation is this. What happens if I owe you $3? If I owe you $3, but then for some reason I get like a bonus, I actually don't really owe you anything anymore. I actually have $5 back. I pay off what I owe you. I got my $8. That goes back to you, and I'm left over with 5. So -3 is what we owe. But the 8 is positive. And we use 3 to pay it off, leaving us with 8. Alright. Plus 3. If we have 3 minus 3, we know this is 0. We don't have to show any work for this one, really. What about, I'll give you guys one last one before I head off. I'll give you guys number, let's do number 7. 4 minus 7. We know the answer is going to be 3. But let's draw it out. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're losing 7. So that means I have this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These guys get caught up, and now I'm left with 3. Alright, this ends my video. Finish this up for homework, and then tomorrow we're going to go over a homework check and explore more about subtracting. Talk to you guys later. Bye.